This could be a game changer for Russia and Ukraine peace talks. Let's see.
And in just a few hours, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and other European leaders will be meeting with President Trump just days after his summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska.
Doug Lazader joins us live from Washington with the latest. Doug.
Todd and Carly, good morning. This is going to be a pretty crowded scene at the White House for this meeting today. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is under enormous pressure, and he is not coming alone. He'll be joined by 7 other European leaders, hoping to make a unified stand.
Right, so first of all, imagine your country's invaded, right? And then you as the president are completely taken out of this conversation, which already shows that no one actually gives a fuck about you. So this entire meeting right off the bat is going to be pointless. And then you have basically every European leader that everyone hates. You have the von der Leyen, you have Starmer, you have Macron. Georgia is all right. But basically this meeting is basically the meeting of losers. Nothing's going to happen here. No changes will be taking place. And anything that Trump wanted to do between Putin has already been done. And nothing will change because of this meeting. There's literally like a bunch of children coming to cry to daddy. Nothing will change.
Trying to hammer out a peace deal on the best terms possible for
a peace deal on the best possible chances. You're not getting a peace deal when you cannot even defend your own fucking borders. How do you expect a peace deal between USA and Russia somehow to stop the war in Europe? It's not going to happen. If you, as Europe, cannot defend yourself, you don't deserve a place to live. I'm sorry, but that's the fucking reality. A nation is a nation because of its people that can defend itself. It has its own values. It has its own borders. It has its own military. If you rely on someone else, you're not a nation, you're a colony.
Ukraine. President Trump, meantime, already making it clear that Zelensky must be willing to make concessions. He posted.
Yeah, there we go. Make concessions. Like, if you're a sovereign country, you're not making concessions. You either win or you lose. You survive or you die. Making concessions is something a colony does. So in this scenario, Ukraine is literally nothing more than a colony that belongs to USA.
Said this on Truth Social last night. President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to.
Well, not really. He can't, because all he can do is give up, which is not ending the war. It's just being a fucking loser. So he's not going to win no matter what.
Or he can continue to fight. Remember?
Yeah, or he can continue to fight like any sovereign nation would and should. I'm not for Trump or against Trump, but the reality is it's up to Zelensky if he and his people even want to fight. If not, well, then give up and give the lands to Putin, because right now this is just, it's been going on for years and nothing has changed. And even Trump is getting annoyed, clearly, and putting away the fact that the Epstein files have still not been released. So now the perfect time to get something muddied in the water for the news will back to the war in Ukraine, right? Perfect time. Oh yeah, just surrender, give me a peace deal. Like, it's fucking pointless.
No getting back Obama given Crimea 12 years ago without a shot being fired, and no going into NATO by Ukraine. Some things never changed. Now, today's sit-down is a follow-up to last week's big meeting between...
Yeah, this is the perfect... rolling out a red carpet for someone you've been complaining about for years. I know it's politics and it's supposed to be a show of good gesture, but holy fuck, you can see the smile on his face. He knows he has won just by the fact that he's standing on Alaska.
President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Trump didn't get a ceasefire deal, but he says he's pushing for a larger peace deal while also...
Cannot get a ceasefire deal, but he's pushing for a larger peace deal. Come on, like, if you cannot do the easier thing, how the fuck are you supposed to do the harder thing?
So pushing Russia to accept security guarantees for Ukraine.
We moved the Russians significantly past where we thought they were going to end up. Now, I had 6 separate sessions with President Putin before this, and I thought that we had some measure of success, but...
Some measure of success. You've achieved absolutely nothing. Nothing has changed for the past 3 years, and nothing will change. You make too much money on this war.
This was epic, what we achieved. I think that we are a whole lot closer to eliminating death on the battlefield in Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, getting rid of the death on the front lines by literally just giving up. Imagine if Poland did that during World War II. Oh yeah, let's just give our lands to Hitler, because why not, right? That's the sensible thing. Like, how stupid do you have to be to say that, oh yeah, the war will end once they give up their land? Like, yeah, no shit, the war will end, because that's literally the fucking point of it.
Now, still, Zelensky is already pushing back against ceding land to Russia, saying Ukraine's constitution makes it impossible. Todd and Carla.
Yeah, and that's one of the many reasons why this is so complicated. Doug Lazater live for us in Washington.
It's not complicated. You're trying to make it complicated so you can just milk people for attention on social media. The reality is they're at war. They want to defend their country. Will they succeed or not? That's not my problem. So nothing's going to change.
Washington. Doug, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's bring in national security and military analyst Rebecca Grant. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. You know, Steve Witkoff said yesterday on several of the Sunday shows that Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska agreed that the United States and Europe can offer NATO Article 5 style protection, security guarantees to Ukraine, which is an attack on one is an attack on all. He said that this is the first time he's ever heard Russia agree to this and called it a game changer. This will be the topic of conversation at the White House today. So what does this mean for the United States and our troops in the future?
This means that we are much closer to ending the war in Ukraine. An Article 5 guarantee, that is the mutual self-defense guarantee. It's only been used one time when
They say that the war is almost over, but then when you look at the stocks for Palantir, Lockheed Martin, and every single military group in US, they're going fucking sky high, 10xing, 15xing, and we're hearing, oh yeah, the war is almost over. No, it's not. It's only just begun. Like, you could see it in Putin's smile.
the European nations supported us on 9/11. So what we see here is the closest possible security ties short of NATO membership. And this really means that you...
I like to remind you that, yeah, we hear NATO all the time, but in theory, NATO has never actually been tested to see if the Article 5 against an actual invasion, not 9/11 bullshit, but actual invasion country to country. We have not tested that yet, so we don't know if Article 5 is even going to work, because right now NATO is nothing more than just a scarecrow. You say, oh yeah, NATO, but it's still not been tested.
Ukraine will have powerful deterrence against a potential future attack from Russia. Implications for the U.S. will continue to stand with our European partners in NATO, and we'll carry that out through multiple domains, air, space, cyber, and all of that. It's going to look pretty...
Yeah, it's literally just dick measuring contest to try and prevent the war. It's not actually going to do anything during the war. Like we saw when Ukraine got invaded, the entire help from Germany they got was 5,000 helmets. Like, what the fuck are you going to do with 5,000 helmets when you're getting blasted with literally thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of missiles every single day? Oh yeah, but they helped. They gave them 5,000 helmets, right? Get out of here.
Similar to our current European force laydown, but including that mutual guarantee for Ukraine, if that's what's offered.
Dr. Grant, Axios is reporting Putin's peace terms. They are as follows. Ukraine cedes control of Donetsk and Luhansk. That
Also, why in the bloody hell is USA even deciding if the war in Europe is going to end or not? Like, physically, no soldier is taking part in the war in Ukraine. That's just a fact. So why the hell is USA even getting involved? It has nothing to do with the US. It's better off if they just stay out of it instead of trying to be the sheriff of the world. They have nothing to gain, apart from obviously stocks like Lockheed Martin and other ones. But that's a lobbying problem, right? The US as a country literally does not benefit in the slightest in getting involved. This should be between Europe and Russia, not between USA, Russia, and then Europe sitting outside in the literally outside of the office, just on their little chair waiting to be let in.
of course, being the Donbass region, freezing the front lines in Kherson and Zaporizhia, and the U.S. recognizes Russia's sovereignty over captured land. And the president...
This is literally a demand that both sides know never gonna actually happen. It's just, again, dick measuring contest. Look how powerful we are. This is what we want to demand, even though in reality this will never come true. None of this will come true.
Appears in at least some posts and some indications from his administration to be okay with ultimately what Putin wants to do there. But are you concerned, as Zelensky has said, that giving Donbass to Russia basically gives Putin a closer staging area for a future invasion?
Well, of course, because once you give those areas, then the entire front line just vanishes and Russia can just keep on pushing without being stopped in the slightest, because the front line that has been dug out over literally months and years is just going to disappear like that overnight. So of course they can just keep pushing, and well, Ukraine will fall within literally days at that point because there is no one and nowhere to stop them.
Well, I'd like to see every last Russian out of Ukraine. Who wouldn't? But as the NATO Secretary General is saying, this is going to be possibly de facto Russian control or occupation, like the Baltics after World War II, like East Germany back during the Cold War. No one's going to say it's not Ukraine's land, but to end the war, they will recognize that Russia stays in part of that. To me,
well, if you recognize it, then that's it. There's nothing else to do. It doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. As the second you say yes, it is, well, that's it. Because Russia can just say, "Oh, look, you're going back on your word," and then the whole spiel starts all over again.
The crucial piece for Ukraine is to get Zaporizhia, the nuclear power plant, to keep enough of the southern ports to be economically viable, and then to get the security and economic guarantees that will bring Ukraine forward, allow for reconstruction, and continue to make it a viable state with a viable economy.
Yeah, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was at the
The place will never have a viable economy to begin with because that country is literally dead. No matter if you look at the GDP, the childbirth rate, the amount of people that are leaving Ukraine, like that place is gone for good at this point. This is just war for the sake of war.
Alaska summit was on Mornings with Sunday Morning Futures yesterday, and he reiterated that President Trump does feel like it is Ukraine and Ukraine alone who can decide what territory, if any, they will be giving up.
Well, yeah, because they're the ones that are going to have to eventually put their life down or just move out of those regions. It's not up to Trump. So there's literally no reason for that Trump-Putin meeting to even take place in the first place.
Here is also something that Secretary of State Marco Rubio said yesterday. Listen to this.
But here's what I can tell you for certain. You can't have a peace deal between two warring factions unless both sides agree to give up something and both sides agree that the other side gets something, right? Otherwise, if one side gets everything they want, that's not a peace deal. It's called surrender.
Exactly.
So what do you think it will ultimately be?
Well, and today's meeting,
What is going to be is eventually is going to be a surrender because there is no way Ukraine can actually win. And this is what Trump knows. This is what everyone in the US knows. The second the money funnel from the US to Ukraine gets pulled out, properly pulled out, Ukraine is literally just on its dying breath. And it's just a matter of time before they have literally nothing to fight with. And they will have to surrender one way or another.
This is bigger than Alaska. This is the European leaders and Zelensky with an excellent package for Ukraine going forward. And I think that Zelensky, as President Trump said, probably should take this deal. They are coming to Washington to show that this is the best possible deal, everything included, whatever the details may be. And I think it will be a very positive step for Ukraine coming out of the White House today.
Quickly, before we let you go, there's been talk of a trilateral meeting as soon as Friday, this Friday, like 5 days away, between Putin, Zelensky, and Trump. Do you see that happening that soon?
Even if it happens, nothing's going to come out of it. Those two people hate each other way too much. They have too much pride. It's not going to result in anything. We're just going to see more bombings like every single time after they have their little talks over the internet. It's going to be the same. The second that meeting ends, we're going to see cities in Ukraine bombed. I can guarantee you that.
Wow, who knows? But I'm telling you, keep that threat of the sanctions in place, and Trump has got to keep the pressure on Putin so this doesn't drift along. They should head for a trilateral meeting as soon.
Like, for real, when we're talking about a dictatorship, sanctions are literally useless. Sanctions only work in a country that has an actual economy, has a diversified portfolio of leaders and all that stuff. When we're talking about a dictatorship like China or Russia, sanctions are literally useless because the oligarchy is literally in full control of the country. They can just ignore sanctions and just brute force the things. That's literally how USSR operated. Sanctions are useless.
As soon as possible after today.
And the president's posting a big day at the White House tomorrow, meaning today. Never had so many European leaders at one time. My great honor to host them. He also says big progress on Russia. Stay tuned. We certainly will. Dr. Rebecca Grant, thank you for joining us.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a...
Right, to summarize it, Putin won basically by having that meeting in Alaska. He's literally got a whole red carpet rolled out for him. The meeting with the European leaders is going to do absolutely nothing. The second Zelensky and Putin meet, we're going to see Ukrainian cities bombed. the end, and nothing's gonna change. The bombing will continue, the war will continue, because we need to make the shareholders happy. Thank you very much and goodbye.